They stayed in Singapore with me for around 1 week. And then on the last day, when they were leaving, I think they were trying to leave discreetly but they failed because I woke up and I saw them like leaving the house.
Nama saya Trifani Julinda, umur aku 24, aku datang dari Indonesia. I'm Trifani Julinda, I'm 24 this year and I came from Indonesia. So I came to Singapore when I was 8 years old, so I've been here for around 16 years. So I came from this town called Kuala Tungkal. Life was rather slow as compared to here, more of a kampong. So I used to stay in like those wooden house and my mom would have a shop house downstairs. So she sell like necessities such as, it ranges from snacks to rice to like instant noodles. Sometimes like after school, my dad will bring me and my brother to his gudang, which is where he works at. And then me and my brother usually will just spend our evenings there, just running around and like just having fun. So last time, I spent a lot of time with my cousins in Indonesia, like playing around as well. Before I moved here to study, I always thought that Singapore is more of a tourist place, so like just come here and have fun, go to USS, all the touristy place and like just spend time with my cousins. I think it started off with my cousins. My cousins moved over to Singapore when they were around my age and they are all around 12 years older than me. I remember there was this one incident when my uncle and my dad was talking right outside the house. I kind of guessed it that it was about moving me over to Singapore to study for good education and environment. The environment in general is assuring for them since my aunt has been taking care of all my other cousins beforehand. But before that, my dad kind of already asked me if I wanted to move over to Singapore to study or not. And to me as a kid, I was very excited to move over because I guess it was a very interesting idea. So I said okay, and that's why I was sent over to Singapore to study. So when I first came to Singapore, my aunt had this interesting rule, which is like she will charge us $1 every time we speak Bahasa Indonesia at home. So at that point in time, I had 6 months to learn English and Chinese before I take the placement test. So she was trying to like help me learn English and Chinese faster by restricting my use of Bahasa Indonesia at home. Now that I look back at it, it's actually quite funny, like the idea itself, because I don't really have a lot of allowance. So it's like $1 gone because I just use like a sentence in Bahasa. It's like, what? Yeah, when my English and Chinese is still very bad, I use like actions to express myself instead. There was this one time, I was trying to tell my cousin to help me chop this vegetable. But because I wasn't allowed to use Bahasa Indonesia, I cannot speak English and Chinese well. So I had to use my actions to show her. So I was like, please. Yeah. And now looking back, I think it was quite an effective measure because I think $1 means a lot as a kid. So it kind of really helps me to pick up English and Chinese faster. And I guess it's also thanks to her that I get to pass the placement test within that 6 months. I spend a lot of time with my cousins at home and my aunt puts in a lot of effort to like kind of bond us together. During the weekends, she'll bring us to USS, Sea Aquarium. I think what I remember the most is us preparing sushi together because we get to like chop the sausage, make them into like faces like onigiri, and then we'll go picnic at East Coast Park or like just Bishan Park just to spend time together. When I came to Singapore, I guess what I have to give up is my time with my family members. I think for my parents, because when I first moved over to Singapore, I didn't really have any ways for me to like contact them. So ever since then, I guess I kind of drifted away and lost the ability to connect with them in a deeper level. I didn't have any phones or anything for me to like contact them every day to like at least tell them about my day. So I guess it kind of felt lonely to be in Singapore alone, even though I had my cousins or like my older sister. There was this once they came to visit me in Singapore after a long time, but I guess we don't really check up on each other a lot, and I lost the ability to kind of call them like mommy or daddy, cause it's just been a very long
time since I called them lah. And in general, just makes it very difficult for me to talk to them about my day. On the day itself, when they came, I didn't really realize that it was a problem because I was just trying to avoid lah. So when they came to the house, I was just hiding in my own room and just hope that maybe by dinner time, I'll be more neutral. I try to communicate with my parents still, but one of my regrets is that because I've been using English and Chinese in Singapore, so I kind of lost the ability to speak and converse in Bahasa Indonesia. And because my dad only know how to speak Teochew and Bahasa, so sometimes when I converse with him, it's very hard to get our point across. I think it's very saddening that we cannot converse or just understand each other better. Now I try to text my parents more and just check up on them, but because they are not very tech savvy, so it's not very easy for me to still connect with them through internet. The easiest way for me to talk to them and connect with them would be flying over to hang out and spend time with them. I knew that it wasn't easy to send me over to Singapore, like for my parents, but I think I only registered it recently, or like maybe not at that point in time, because when I moved over to Singapore, they actually accompanied me. So they stayed in Singapore with me for around 1 week, and then on the last day, when they were leaving, I think they were trying to leave discreetly lah, but they failed because I woke up and I saw them like leaving the house and they were walking towards the lift. So I was just crying at the gate, like begging them to bring me with them, and can tell that my dad wanted to turn around and like bring me back to Indo. But end up, I think my mom talked it out with him, and I found out about this maybe like a few years after, when my mom told me that, oh, actually that time when you were crying at the gate, your dad was also crying. So it's not because they don't love me, that's why they sent me over, but because they love me and they want me to get the best of everything. That's why they had to let go and send me over to Singapore to study.
Something that I want to tell my parents is that I'm very, very grateful that they decided to send me over to Singapore to study and provide me with such a good environment to grow up with. I understand that it's also because they are working very hard in Indonesia to provide for me and my siblings. But I just wish that we could have spent more time together and have a bit more interaction and want them to be a part of my childhood more. I've grown to like Singapore because I found my second family, which is my dance friends and the community in general. And I really love my job because it's really something that I am very interested in. My colleagues are all very nice and they're very supportive. And even though I started work maybe like half a year, I already feel that the company is where I foresee myself staying in the future lah. I'm planning to settle down in Singapore and build my family here because I think what I experienced in Singapore in terms of the education and environment wise is what I want my future kids to have, and at the same time I also want to spend a lot of time with them while they grow up. Dear younger self, I know it might be scary to move over to Singapore at such a young age, but just have fun and trust the process. You'll be glad that you moved over here in the future, and remember to thank Papi and Mami. It's not easy to leave them and all your friends back at home, but you'll find your new home here with new friends. Your family will still be one call away, so try to still contact with them as much as possible and spend time with them even though you guys are not in the same country. Mimi and Daddy might be strict on you now, but just know that they care a lot about you, that's why they take care of you so much. I'm so excited for you to grow up in Singapore and for the future to come by. Lastly, to my Papi and Mami, thank you for sending me here, and I promise I'll work hard to create and build a good future for myself. Love, your older self.